going to be continuing in my videos on Neo-Confucianism. I'm using this book for now. And then in this video I'm going to be talking about the Cheng brothers. And I'm just for the within this series I did Chudani, and I'm doing the Cheng brothers, Cheng Hao and Cheng Yi. I'm going to be doing Cheng Zai, Chushi, and Xiaoyang, and Wang Yangming. And then after that, I'll be done with this book, and then I'll go on. We'll talk about the 4-7 debate, which is a book I have upstairs. That book talks about the Korean Neo-Confucianism Confucian theories and thought of Toige, Yugok, Ugye, and Kobong, which is pretty interesting. I think pretty much in that book, Toige and Yugok are kind of the main two, and then Ugye and Kobong kind of are secondary. But so we have among the Cheng brothers, you have Cheng Hao and Cheng Yi. Cheng Hao was born in 1032. Cheng Yi was born in 1033. But Cheng Hao died before Cheng Yi did. Cheng Hao died kind of early. But Cheng Hao and Cheng Yi were both students of Chudani, and they studied under Chudani, and they didn't really like all of his principles. So they both agreed with some things. However, Cheng Yi kind of differed on the Li and Qi thing. So in this video, we're going to kind of discuss a little bit about Li and Qi. But the main thing with Cheng Hao is kind of like Cheng Hao is the one who kind of, in a way, was the main one who kind of gave birth to these things of Tianli and stuff like that. But Cheng Yi was kind of the one that was kind of more famed for it because he was around longer. For them both, Cheng Hao had a principle called Tianli, and if you call back to Confucius, you have the principle of Tian, which is of heaven, and that has to do with spirits and how those spirits have indirect influence on the non-spiritual world. So Cheng, having studied under Chudani, he had no interest in the Taiji, if you recall what that was. And Xiaoyang, which I will talk about soon, is kind of different from. Also, didn't have any interest didn't really have interest in the Tai Chi. So Qi was something that Cheng Zai had come up with, and he didn't really have as much interest in that either. But Cheng Hao founds reality on Tianli. He does talk about Li and Qi though a little bit, which is kind of what we'll get to. Tianli. Tianli is that which founds reality, and Tianli is in a way equal to Li, or principle. From here on out, we're gonna be understanding Li as principle, because that's what it is. Principle, rights, moral norms, rituals, morality. That's kind of what Li is. But Li also has a metaphysical aspect in Neo-Confucianism, because Li is also that which can be consolidated with Qi, because Qi is more physical. But I don't know. I don't want to get too much into it because they're different. There are differing thinkers here. I don't want to get any confusion here. But Li is reason and principle, and he made Li the central concept of his metaphysical reality. Tian Li is the principle of heaven, and all things are complete within themselves. Ontological reality is the foundation of the whole universe. Tian Li is present in all things, and it's heavy in principle. Having the principle is not a independent thing. Things come from Tian Li. So we have another Neo-Confucian thinker where we have a central foundational principle where from which everything comes. Tian Li applies to man and all things. Man can extend Tian Li's presence farther. Man is intelligent, so Ren is goal. Like we know, Ren is benevolence or humaneness, having to do with the person. Being a real person is like the goal. Self cultivation is also a goal. Is also a thing to strive to. Is a thing to strive to be doing. But like how like how I lost my train of thought. Basically, animals do not have intellect. They don't have very high intellect. Li is present in everything, but man can increase Li in him. He can increase the presence of which Li has in him, and that's how you can kind of proceed more to sagehood or sageliness, whatever you want to call it. But Tian Li is basically what man is going to try to achieve, you aren't achieving Tian Li, but you're trying to get more of Tian Li, or try to have more of that present in you. Cheng Yi had the principle of vital force, and he kind of brought Qi into this whole thing, and Qi is also very important, and Li and Qi is going to be very important when we discuss Twege and Yogok in the 4-7 debate. Li, according to Cheng Yi, is the principle of primordial substance. So Li has to do with everything primordial, and it is the highest realm of the Tao, or the way towards achieving the person, really. Qi is below, and it is instrument, it is physical, and through investigation or self-cultivation you can consolidate Li and Qi, because Li, of course, is present in everyone, but if you can get more of it in you by self cultivation and trying to kind of move towards the way, and trying to move towards Ren, and trying to develop your selfhood, you can consolidate Li and Qi in yourself. Well, everybody is Qi. Everybody has and is Qi. And everybody has some amount of Li in them, but to become a sage you have to be a person of high moral intellect, so you have to consolidate Li and Qi as much as possible. So this is a kind of a simple principle, though, like this Tian Li that Cheng Hao had. Cheng Yi kind of brought the whole idea of Li and Qi into the whole thing, which is going to be really important soon. And I guess, in a way, he's kind of equating heaven and Li. And Li is equivalent to, and I guess I can see that because Li is like the standard of morality. It is the it's the standard of being the high of person of high moral refinement. It is principle. It is above. It is, as Cheng said, it is principle. It is primordial substance. It is the highest realm. It is the Tao, the way, and Tian is also heaven. So I can see how Tian and Li are a lot of the same. So I like that principle that Cheng Yao kind of brought up because, in a way, Tian and Li are very similar. And I also like how Cheng Yi brought in how the whole thing of the vital force, which we'll be discussing more when we talk about Chu Shi and Chang Sai. And then we also have Xiao Yang to discuss, excuse me, which is a little bit different of a thinker compared to these other ones that we've been discussing. If you think I left something out or did something wrong, comment below. Let me know. Thank you.